You walk onto the set and it's your first time. All eyes are on you. And I have to say,
James Bond, James Bond, James Bond, James Bond.
those fears. You didn't want to screw it up.
My name is Bond. James Bond.
What's in this documentary exactly? There's one sequence where we do see Pierce Brosnan worried about delivering his lines. What were his concerns there?
Well, I think probably the concerns that anyone would have, even a seasoned actor, about taking on the mantle of one of the most iconic cinematic figures, or the most iconic figure perhaps in the history of film. So yeah, Pierce was very honest with me in interview when I asked him, about his nerves, what were all his anticipations about taking on the part, and sure enough, he was worried, and I think he had a lot of concerns, but they weren't exclusive to him. Same with Roger Moore as well. I mean, he felt that straight away. George Lazenby, who had one episode, he came straight after Sean Connery. I mean, all of them were afflicted by that sense of paralysis.
What's in this documentary that we haven't seen before? What new information is there about Bond and the development of the franchise?
Well, I was very fortunate that the producers of Bond gave me quite a sort of like a free rein to look into all the difficulties that face the franchise over the years, and I think people are aware that there were certain struggles. There were personal fallouts. I mean, Sean had his own complications with playing the character and with the producers, and we were allowed to delve into that. Also how the two producers who founded Bond ended up having a split, at first acrimonious. The real inside track, that hard luck story, which I don't think people know about. Everyone sort of presumes that Bond has been around forever and will continue to exist, but there was a lot of obstacles in the way of the franchise over the 50 years.
It's a very comprehensive documentary that you've put together, but how balanced is it and how independent is it?
Very independent, actually. I mean, that was almost. I mean, it was a hope on my part, and somewhat of a prerequisite. I had those decisions were made quite early on. How we were going to tackle this. I said that I wanted to look into these parts of the history of Bond. The survival story. How did Bond last all that time? And that would involve the downs as well as the ups. So I had to consult the producers and say this is where I wanted to go, and they thankfully said, okay, let's go for it. And there was a pause, but when they decided, then it was all out, and we wanted to tell the story as faithfully and honestly as possible.
And why, to your mind, is it that the franchise has lasted for such a long time? Why has it endured?
I think there's several reasons. I think the depth and the contradictions of the character first forged by Ian Fleming. I think he created a wonderfully complex and enigmatic figure of Bond that still appeals to this day. But on a more pragmatic level, I think you've got the nurturing of this family, which is quite unique in Hollywood, or rather in filmmaking. You've got the Broccoli family, who have nurtured this character over 5 decades, steered the series through, as I mentioned, these quite rocky terrain. And without that stewardship, without that love and that affection, I'm really not sure Bond would have lasted so long.